Let's make the search results component talk to the GitHub API and actually do the search. To do that, I create a variable called URL and assign it to https api.github.com/search/repositories. We add a query string parameter called queue and assign this to... I'm just going to hide this side view to give us a bit more space. That's better. Okay, we want to add the search query on here. But in order to do that, we need to ensure that spaces and weird characters are URL encoded. Luckily, this is quite easy to do. We just use the encode URI component function and pass the search query variable into that. Now that we have a valid URL, we want to use that to make a call to GitHub to kick off a search. For that, we'll use fetch again, as we did in earlier modules of this course. So I'm calling fetch and passing it the URL we built. Remember, fetch is promise-based, so we chain a then on here. The first then will need to pass the response to JSON, which we do with this arrow function and just return the results of calling JSON on the response object. Now we chain another then on here and add a handler function. The parameter passed to this function will be the JSON response of the call. So we want to do the bulk of our logic in here. We might want to store the repositories brought back from the call, and we want to do this on state, which of course means that we need to set it using the setState function. We set it using a key called repositories, and we set that to the repositories property on the response data object. We want to bind our list view to the repositories value, and as you might recall from earlier modules, we do this by calling the clone-with-rows function on the data source and overwrite the data source value in state. We're not going to add any error handling on here, although it's good practice to do so. All we're worried about for now is to stop showing the loader by setting show progress to false. And I'm doing this in finally because it'll get called whether the whole promise chain was successful or not. Let's test that quickly. When we reload the app, search for something here, press search, then shows us a bunch of empty rows. But that's cool, it means it worked. We just need to go and flesh out the rows for this list view.